what you can expect in this episode of Kingdom Commerce. I'm your host, Cooper Peterson, and I'll be interviewing Will Woods, content creator and marketer. He believes in the importance of creating a Christian content creation boom. You heard that right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Kingdom Commerce, where we do commerce the kingdom way. I am your host, Cooper Peterson, joined today by content creator and marketing extraordinaire Will Woods II, number 2.
How's it going?
He has the Da Woods 2 podcast. He has his own brand that we're going to be talking about today. So, Will, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Just thank you for what you guys have been doing. You had me on the podcast I think it was a month or two ago.
Yeah.
Before we left Cedarville. That was in person, so this is virtual. But I'm just excited to talk about everything going on, what I have going on, and just kind of talk about the idea of Christian content creation. I think it's an important phase in the life cycle of content creation and what Christians can do to influence others. So yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So for our audience here, Will and I, we met at Cedarville University last year. I was finishing up doing some graduate work in innovation and entrepreneurship, and Will was just starting off as a freshman, and he's really impressive in just his desire to create and inspire others. And so we're happy to have him here. He's been on 1 or 2 episodes of Kingdom Commerce already, and really what this episode is going to lead off of what something that you said in the last episode, Will. And if you guys want to watch that, I'll link it up here with the card. Will, you said in the interview last time that you desire to create a Christian creator boom and inspire a generation of influencers. Why do you want to see this Christian content creation boom, and what does that look like?
Yeah, I'd say this has been a passion of mine for a while. I fell in love with a few creators. Let's talk about my inspirations to start. The guy that really got me into YouTube and wanting to be a creator was Casey Neistat. A lot of people talk about this, even guys that I now follow. Casey Neistat inspired me to want to create. He did 800 and something days in a row of daily vlogs, never skipped, a vlog every day. And that was inspiring because I got to follow his story and I was engaged every single day. And then further, everyone knows this name in business is Gary Vaynerchuk. And the way he's really trying to help people, like day trading attention. Attention is the number one asset. So then I was like, how can I apply this in my faith, in business, and monetarily? And the main thing is my passion. I don't want to be a solo creator. Originally I was like, oh, I'm going to be a YouTuber and do my own thing, have my own vlog and my own channel. But I love working with others and inspiring others, create to inspire. And I love to create. I'm actually on a 2-week no post while I get ready for something, and I don't like it, but it gets my mind reset for whenever I start posting again. And I love creating, and I want to create so others are inspired to create as well. And that doesn't mean creating content, and it doesn't have to be video that you post online. It can be creating within whatever you are doing, whether you're a nurse in the hospital, creating programs, processes that help the patients that you are serving, whether you're an engineer within a firm, creating processes or creating something that helps you guys work more efficiently, or whether you are an entrepreneur starting your own business and creating content to grow that business, which is because creating organic content for social media is probably the best way to market right now, as we found, especially on LinkedIn for certain businesses. So inspiring others to create and showing them how to create, that's kind of the passion that I've grown to have. And with my own podcast, with my own content that I've been working on and honing over the past 6 years since I started working within the marketing field in 8th grade, that's what I want to do. And I want a boom of Christian creators in the marketplace, online, social media, YouTube, every space where they're just going out and creating. They don't have to have a Bible study YouTube channel. We need
Right.
that. We need more of that, like The Way UK, like a lot of the big names, George Janko, Charlie Kirk. Those are all great influencers who are Christians. They talk about their faith all the time on all their stuff. But there's also people like the artist Nick D. He's a pop artist, does kind of like the Varsity Bars rap style. And he doesn't talk about his faith in his music at all or on his socials, but he's a down to earth guy and people love him. Same with the guy who coached the Celtics that just recently won the NBA Finals. He's a Christian guy, and what does he do? He excels at what he does. He's a great coach. He just won. That's amazing. So he's in the workplace, he's doing stuff, he's creating, building, and doing really well. And through that, people see that his faith is what keeps him strong and allows him to do that. So that's what I want to inspire people to do is with your faith, with your passion, go out there and create and just inspire others through what you are doing.
So at its core, at its core, like one or two sentences, what does it mean to create, to inspire? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for others?
Yeah. I'd say for me, I create to inspire others to live the best life they can live, but then also follow your passions and the gifts that God has given you. To follow, He's given you a passion for a reason, and that passion has a purpose, which is to share the gospel, but it might be a different way. It might be indirectly relationship first through the workplace. And then for others, I think create to inspire, the mindset of you are creating to inspire others to look at you, to look at the way you act, the light that you have and that you are shining, and to look at God. So you're inspiring others to think a little bit deeper about how you're acting and think, why are they like that? And then it eventually can lead to that gospel conversation.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And when I think of, there are several ways that people come to the knowledge of the gospel. I mean, obviously it's the Lord's work and everything, but sometimes people are attracted to the gospel because of the logic behind it. Sometimes they're attracted because they see what the Lord is doing in other people's lives, and they're attracted to that. And there's like indirect and direct ways. Like you mentioned, some of those um, influencers who are directly proclaiming the gospel, or they're directly stating who they are, who they're serving, and why they're doing that. But there's also, I think, a degree of trust that can be built when people see the testimony of the lives of others. And
Mm-hmm.
there's actually, I believe, a form of trust that can come through content creation. And when people ask, Will Woods, why are you joyful amidst a trial? Or Will, what keeps you going? What motivates you? To me, that seems like it's an opportunity for you to then share your faith. Is that what you mean when you talk about the Christian side of content creation? Is it that trust that you build, that then when the gospel opportunity arrives, you're able to speak to that with grace and truth?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's building trust. That's the biggest thing. People just want someone trustworthy and authentic that they can relate to, rely on, and talk to without the idea of judgment prior to the conversation. Because there's a stigma, especially if you aren't a believer, of Christianity. There are bad Christians who portray the faith in a bad light, and that can hurt others. There's church hurt. It's a big thing, a big conversation within
Right.
the evangelicals. But if you just go to them person to person, like Jesus did, he just went and ate with the tax collectors. And the
Right.
Pharisees said, how can you sit with sinners? That's the whole idea, is he is here to save the lost, quote unquote.
Right.
So if we go out into the workforce like everyone else, but we know where our faith is and we know where our foundation is, and we stick true to that. So there might be things we won't do and we won't say, but we are still with the people, being with them, gaining their trust, just having a relationship with them and loving them. Loving them is having a relationship and helping them out. And that's where the gospel conversations can come, because people are curious. We're curious people. We
Right.
want to find out stuff. And if someone's living a good life, doesn't mean like they're successful, but it means they are content and happy and joyful in what they're doing, even if it seems like there's a difficulty. That's why being authentic in content creation and showing your struggles, like lifestyle vloggers, showing everything, the good and the bad, and being completely open about it, people are like, wow, they're going through that, but they're still going strong and joyful because of their faith. Why is that? And that's where the gospel conversation can lead. It's about leading the conversation to the one thing that matters the most in the world.
Well, what you said, Will, I think really resonated with what a lot of people think about the internet, is that there's a lot of brokenness, and there's a lot of people that are looking and searching for hope. You know, people search on YouTube for things about faith. People search on YouTube for people that will give them hope, and they may not know exactly what they're looking for. But if Christians can be excellent in what they do regarding content creation, making good content in all areas like you described, it's like whether it has to do with nursing or engineering, or whether you're an entrepreneur, or you're a podcaster, or you're a nature photographer, those are all ways that Christians can be in every sphere of life and have the opportunity to then show the gospel to all those different kinds of people. And so I absolutely think that there is a need for Christian content creation, for Christians to excel at everything. And that's one of the things that we talk about, is being excellent. The Lord wants us to work unto him, to work heartily unto the Lord and not for men. But what that could mean is, in your industry, with the passions and the gifts that God's given you, is to use those for his glory. So I absolutely agree. Well, I think there needs to be more light in these places. And Christians, we believe that Christ is for all of life. He is for everything. He is for every corner and every sphere. Like, as Christians, we don't believe he's just a slice of the pie, but he's actually Lord of it all. And so with that content creation, we take that everywhere. So that's really cool. Well, now I want to dive in a little bit too. Now we understand what you mean by content creation, Christians creating good content. What does that look like when it's fully manifested? What does that look like for individuals in college, or individuals in their jobs, when they're doing it as a side hustle or doing it as an entrepreneur? What does that look like in that vision that you have? And then how do we get there? What are some actionable steps to encourage others to step out and create content with excellence, and with the motivation that it is an opportunity to share their faith?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just do it. A lot of people talk about preparing and understanding what you're going to do. I've been creating content, whether online or just for myself, for 6 years. I got interested in video over 7 years ago, been creating and working for 6 years, and I'm still figuring out where I'm going. I'm just finally figuring out my brand a little bit. So the first thing is just diving in with your phone, with your laptop, with the camera. That a lot of people have cameras, and just start creating something. What is it about? Is it about your life, what you're doing? Are you interested in fashion? What are you wearing? Are you an engineer? What's the projects you're working on? If you're into sports, film some of your sports stuff. Figure out what you like and just start with that. What you like doing. There's other people that will relate to you, because there's a lot of things. We are relational beings. We can relate to a lot of the stuff that we do, because a lot of people that are doing those things as well. But there's only one you, so you have your own spin on it. And so that's another thing too, is relational, is teaming up with people, finding that group who all have a passion, maybe not the same passion, but they want to just create. So you have a friend who's into fashion, they can create about that. You have a friend that's into athletics, they can create about that. If someone is really interested in productivity and how to like be efficient with stuff, they can create about that. But you're all helping each other. You're all building each other up within that. And then for the actionable steps within that is write down your ideas and then go do the ideas. Find a notebook, a bank in your Apple Notes. I have a bunch of Apple Notes ideas for YouTube videos, for Instagram Reels, for TikToks, for YouTube Shorts, and they're in there. So whenever you sit down to actually create with whatever it is, iPhones anymore do plenty a job. iPhone, the newest iPhone, even iPhones that are 3 or 4 years old, they do the job, and they create quality video. So you can use that. You can buy a mic that's really cheap, or you can go with just the iPhone. Just start creating. It's not going to be right away when you get quote unquote success or attention. Mr. Beast says, create 100 videos. Those first 100 videos, nobody's really going to watch them because you're in the beginning stage, you're in the infancy of your creator journey. And so by the time you get to a 100th video, you've figured it out. You've figured out some of the nuances, and then you can really start building what is your brand, what is the passion that you're talking about, and then you can pivot towards what people are watching, because you need to do something you're passionate about. But if it's not providing value, or which could be either education or entertainment, then you might need to pivot a little bit. Just make sure it's something you're passionate about and something that people will glean from and get from it. And so the actionable step is make sure you have that idea bank. So when you sit down to create, you put the tripod up, you have the phone, or your friend is holding your phone, you know exactly what you're going to do. You know, like, okay, this is kind of the idea of the video. This is the title, because you want to start with the title. And then I'm just going to go for it. We're going to try and make it. A lot of people, and this is kind of the consensus, is when you're creating a video, start with the title. Write down titles of videos. It's like, these are the top 10 things you need for being an engineer student, being at college, whatever. Top 10 things you need to know about college. You won't believe what I just did. And then it's about basketball, or it's about this amazing grade you got on a quiz that everyone else got a bad grade on. Start with the title. If we're talking about video creation, start with the title and then create the video. So those are some of the quick actionable steps. But the biggest thing is find your team and just create together and build each other up together.
Yeah, and I think, for our audience here, the reason we're really diving into content creation, because when you're an entrepreneur in this day and age, you're likely going to have social media. You're likely going to have a YouTube. It's a way to generate leads, giving away free information, free value to people. That is a way for them to find your business and then able to get connected and purchase your product or service there. So it's something that's essential, I think, for many businesses. And we're not saying that everyone has to be a content creator or vlog about their, what they ate for breakfast or whatnot. But there's these principles that I think can be applied to your business, because like we say at Kingdom Commerce, we want to glorify God with our business. And we can actually present the gospel as we talk to people, as we talk to customers. And that is a way, social media is a way to generate more leads, to make you more successful, and so on. But when we're talking about,
content creation, that's the knowledge I have. Marketing, that's where I come from. But as you said, it applies to everything else. And I still think the team applies to everything else. It doesn't mean if you have your own business that there's 3 employees and it's all your friends and you're all working on it, because sometimes you can't afford that and some of them have to work other jobs. But you can have that council around you of your team that are building you up and giving you ideas and listening to you and giving you guidance to build each other up. I think you have to have a group around you. It's very hard to do it 100% on your own. So whether you are a nurse, whether you are an engineer, whether you're an entrepreneur, or whether you just like doing something really technical, you just need to start doing it, get the reps in, and then find the group of people that are passionate about stuff and build each other up within that.
It's really interesting because content creation, as I've seen, is something that businesses that you didn't even think would need it are actually using it to be successful and generate leads, right? So like, Will, you work for your dad's company, right? 50 Marketing, and they started a podcast, right? And it's actually led to more sales. Is that correct?
Yeah. We've had success. We've built the Missing Half podcast hosted by Bill Woods. And what it's done is we're in the B2B space. I'm just like, well, how does that apply? The B2B space is a few years behind the stuff that you see, what's popular. And so right now, podcasts, we're still on the cutting edge, which is kind of crazy to think. Podcasts are still becoming a thing within B2B, and it's driving leads. It's demand generation of attention. And we're able to connect with people, specifically on LinkedIn, which is just booming whenever it comes to content. And so you might not think that it applies to you, but it does. We are even starting podcasts and podcast style content for companies that you definitely have never heard of. The truck scales that are beside the road or at the manufacturing facilities that like weigh the trucks whenever they're going out with their loads. they're having a podcast so they can share about their story and their company. There's a company that does testing to help with water and pollution. They're doing podcast content to share their story, to share it to people. Just sharing your information, your story, and what you do, providing value to people, it can provide you leads, sales, and really help your business. And we found that. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So just to summarize this segment, really, we believe that content creation is not only a way for you to succeed at whatever your goals are, whether it's through business or to be a creator, but it's also a way to demonstrate to others that Christ is the Lord of your life, and it can be an
Yeah.
opportunity for a gospel conversation. So, like Will said, whether it's you know whether it's Logan Paul or that kind of content, or whether it's a B2B space, there's room for this sort of content creation mindset. And really what you've been saying, Will, is it just takes the first step and to keep repeating it,
Yep.
almost like working out, going to the gym, and you get stronger and you understand
Yep.
how to do it even better. And I can explain, from my personal experience, even starting this podcast, I've never done podcasts before, and I'm still learning how to do it, and even
Yeah.
talk to the camera, come up with the content that interests people. But each time it becomes easier and better to talk in front of a camera, and it's really something that I've learned to enjoy with Kingdom Commerce. So as we jump into this kind of next segment, Will, I want to understand what is your personal mission, and how are you fulfilling that mission, and how does that relate to your brand? And you've mentioned a relaunch of your brand that you're starting. If you can give a little bit of context to that, I think that'd help our viewers understand where you come from, where you're going, and then we can check up on your progress in a future episode.
Yeah. I mean, I started my journey on my personal brand, I'd say about a year ago. Branding, like, treat yourself as a brand. Dr. Oberbrunner, Dr. Carey Oberbrunner said, treat yourself as a brand, which means carry yourself well, be prepared in most situations. That's why I like to dress up more than most people. I still like to wear like athletic clothes and stuff like that, but I always feel like you never know who you could meet. It could be a great opportunity. You never know what will happen. And so I try to run with that approach. So my personal brand of inspiring others, I started on that journey last April. It's been a year and a month now. I started the podcast, the Dow Woods 2 podcast, which was just the name. I coined it when I was about 8 years old, give or take. I was like, my name is William Woods, and I'm from the woods. We live out in the country in like a very wooded area. So I was
That's
very
awesome.
into hip hop then, still like hip hop now. So I was like, Da Woods. Just put a da in there instead of da. So that's where that name come from. So that was just always a fun thing that I had. It's all of my socials. And I started with that. So I did about 21 episodes. I accidentally skipped episode 20. So we're just gonna leave it skipped, and that's gonna be the thing. Episode 21, I did that with a professor, Dr. Kimball, and that was the first run. That was me doing it, I would say. Just going out there, figuring out how to do a podcast, learning how, like, doing it one-on-one, doing it with people, doing it with multiple people. It's a different animal every time. And I learned how to slowly try to make a brand, make a personality, because I was very boring at the beginning. I was very awkward at the beginning, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. I had a passion for it. And some of the stuff did well. The podcast where I put in the least amount of effort, I was in PJs. We were in our dorm. We had 2 cameras, lights. It was 3 of us guys, and it has the most views of all of my podcasts. And
Wow.
the clips from it have some of the best views from all my podcasts. So, but that's where I was me. That's where I was authentic. That's where I had my personality actually show, instead of being like all like professional and interviewee and all that stuff. So it's just finding out how to portray yourself on camera. That's a skill, that is a learned skill. It's not just a natural, like, boom, I can do it. So that's what my personal brand has become. It's the podcast. And now I'm rebranding it and I'm pivoting. I'm inspiring students. I'm inspiring them, like, here's college life. Here's how to do it. Now, with the rebrand, and when this podcast launched, this will probably already have released, the Create a Light. So Create a Light, it's a podcast where we shine a light in the darkness of life and teach others how to live the best life they can live, to follow their passions and pursue the gifts that they are given, the talents that they have. And so that's what the brand is now. It's inspiring others, creating this podcast to inspire others, and creating a light to shine on others to help them do what they want to do. So that's going to be the morphine of my personal brand right now. Is I'm going to interview as many people as I can, talk to as many people as I can, whether it's for content creation or in just what I'm doing as vice president of my class, as president of CUE, the Cedarville University Entrepreneurship Org, in all those areas of my life, and with soccer too, on the reserve team, hopefully, with tryouts and stuff, inspire others that are around me within those circles just to do their thing, go out, work hard at it. And I really believe that you can make an impact with the gifts that you have. So that's where my brand has come. And so just building it out, making sure I portray myself as myself in a Christ-like manner, that's where I am right now. And just building all the pieces for that. A website. I bought my own URL, my name. I think everybody should. I believe with resumes anymore, if you send someone to a URL that's your name and then that's your resume, and there's videos and there's links and there's their social medias, I think that would be huge compared to just like a paper resume. I think your resume should be a little QR code that you say, here's my resume, check out my website at willwoods2.com.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool. So I think that's kind of where I've gotten with my brand, and I want to share that to other people. I think everywhere I go, I'll be like, yo, are you trying to build your resume? Buy your own URL, buy your name. So yeah. I think it's awesome where it's going.
That's cool. And it reminds me of the biblical principle of stewardship, of stewarding the gifts that God has given you. And if he's given you that heart to be a content creator, to share with others, and to set yourself in a larger public sphere with the opportunity to use your gifts to potentially share the gospel with others, I think that's like a huge moment in our time, in our culture today, where we can make a huge impact as Christians. Yeah. And so, Will, we're gonna wrap up this episode, but I appreciate you sharing about your brand, Create a Light, and we'll link in below in the description. Your LinkedIn, Instagram, you make a lot of cool videos. You've been vlogging and make some really cool like productivity tips and whatnot. So I encourage our listeners to go check out Will for some great content creation advice. But Will, thanks again for jumping on for this episode. We appreciate it, and I'm sure you'll be on in the future.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm just excited to see where Kingdom Commerce is going, where you're going with all the stuff you're doing, and just see how we can build each other up and inspire others. It's going to be awesome.
Thanks, Will. Everyone, this is Kingdom Commerce, where we do commerce the kingdom way. We'll catch you in that next episode. See ya.